So before I start, just like to thank for the invitation and like to recall that I'm presenting on behalf of a lot of people that have been working on this project for so many years. So the credits are not for me, it's for the full team. And I was just browsing around the names that are participating on this incredible Congress. And I'm seeing a lot of Brazilians there that maybe I could even do this presentation in Portuguese, but I have it in English. And I see some some names that I know and was part of this project, like Pedro Scherer. So Pedro, nice to see you again. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that are following the Spix project for a long time. So for those that are not aware a lot about Spix macaw, so Spix macaw is a endemic species from Brazil, from Caatinga. It is not current, but it was extinct in the wild, declared extinct in the wild in the year 2000. It was get very known by the public, by the general public, in 2002 when they released the movie Rio. And it's important to understand that its originary area is was declared as an red zone in Brazil. It was very impacted by the climate change. So the history of the species starts for the science in 1819 when the expedition from Johann Baptist von Spix and von Martius came to Brazil in the beginning of the 19th century, and they spent 3 years learning and collecting in Brazil, and they collected the first bluebirds at the time. In 1932, these birds were described by Wragler, and this bird was not well known by the science until 1986, when Paul Rowe found the last 3 animals. In 90, there was just one left, and that was a very high impact to the Brazilian government and to the conservation community, and that started the Spix Macaw Recovery Committee in 90. And Brazil started a call for holders and breeders to join and big effort for the captive breeding. In 91, project was started in Curaçao city, where the bird was found, and to work on the community and to think about the release. So we start monitoring the last male. In 95, a female was released to breed with this male. Unfortunately, the release was not well succeed because 6 months later, we lost this female. And the last male stay alone for 5 years until disappear in the year 2000, and that was when it was declared extinct in the wild. So all the committee and the people that was working at that time until there, they get very frustrated, and the committee was even dismissed at that time. In 2012, a new effort starts with an action plan developed by the Brazilian Agency for Environment, ICMBio. And from then on, several steps start to work towards the release of the bird. So in 2016 and 18, we had the signature of some memorandum of understanding with partners, national international partners. In 2018, 2 protected areas was established in the Spix Macaw original area. And in the following year, 2019, a release center was built by an NGO called ACTP in Curaçao. In 2020 was a great moment. I was part of this moment when we were able to bring to Brazil the first shipment from Europe, 52 birds coming from Germany and Belgium, and they went directly to the release center in Curaçao. So in 2022 was the huge moment in the history when you have the release of 20 birds. And the following year, we start to have the proof of the success of our strategy for release. The first wild babies regiment. So it's the first time after, I don't know, 37 years or more, we had wild babies, wild birds on the wild. And this year, on the beginning, on January, end of January, we had another shipment to Curaçao with 41 birds. So how all this timeline was, how we reach all this timeline. First, the most relevant part was the partnership. So the action plan was like the main frame to we established a partnership with all institutions and people around. So it was like how we define the strategy and the actions that should be set and take place. The first action plan cycle, as we say here in Brazil, it was from 2012 to 2017. And as you can see on the screen, it was aiming the increase of the captive population and look for the recovery of the environment, aiming the reintroductions by 2021. The second cycle that was published in 2019, we already reached the minimum population to go for the release. And that's why we focus, the action plan was aiming not anymore on the breeding or the environment. It was aiming on the reintroduction and looking for the community engagement and use of practices that would protect the environment. So that was a big shift from 2012 to 2019, coordinating the action of the partners. And that happened, most of them, because we had success on establishing agreements between the government of Brazil and the civil society and the holders and the other people that were supporting the project. So I'd like to call these 3 moments. That was the Memorandum of Understanding from 2016, from the Memorandum of Understanding from 2018, and a technical agreement between ICMBio and the NGO ACTP from Germany to run the release center. And this work the work of breeding, captive breeding, was a huge success. So when the Brazil government established a partnership with the other organizations, they get the condition to invest in research and on the captive breeding. So the agreements give the condition to they work on that. So there were a lot of investment on analysis, including hormone, egg, sperm, artificial insemination, cryopreservation. So that's a lot of investment that was able to increase a lot the captive population. And all this was based on the pedigree-based matching and improving all the management of the captive breed. So let's get some pictures here of the birds and breeding. Most of them was here in this picture in Qatar. Some of them in Germany. So here we see some outcomes of this investment on captive breeding. So in black, we have the births. So you can see that when we start in 2014, we had this peak, we start growing the birth curve. So we are having right now around 49 to 50 birds hatching per year. And the deaths was always a low number, not high. Now that give us the condition to increase the population extremely. So as you can see here in the year 2016, we reach the minimum number for the release. So that's why in 2016, we have the signature of the Memorandum of Understanding for the reintroduction project. And now we have more than 380 birds in the world. And if you go back, we had less than 17 in the 90s. So that's a huge growth. That was because the investment made by these holders after agreeing and start working together with the Brazilian government. So we reach the number of animals that were able for the release. So we start through the pre-release stage. And just to understand, who are not from Brazil, who never come here, so this is also a picture of Caatinga. Caatinga is a semi-arid, is in a semi-arid zone, but it is formed by small trees, bushes, and grass. And you can see this is a landscape, and you have in between the landscapes, you have the creeks or the streams. And on the streams is the place where you can see the big forests, not forest, but the forest structures, where you have the highest trees. And one of those trees is called Caraibeira. Caraibeira is the tree that is known by the nesting of the Spix macaw. So that's the most relevant tree for the success on the wild breeding for the species. And when we were preparing for the release in 2018, these two protected areas were established by the British government. The first one in this green, in the middle, in the heart, is the refugee. And on the orange, we have as a buffer zone, we have, like you call in Brazil, the environmental protected area. So those two protected areas, they are related to the river basin. And the goal here is to protect the structure of the ecosystem on the region. And most important, when we decide what was the kind of protected area that was established, we're not looking for a protected area that was only public, that would exclude the people from the region, because we understand that's an area with 120,000 hectares, and that would be impossible to protect and manage without do it with the local community. So that's why these two areas, they allow private land, and we work together with the local community to be able to protect the Spix macaw. And not only creating or establishing the protected area, but we have to work with the community. So before release, we spent a lot of time and energy working with the community. So a lot of meetings at the community community assembly. We work at school, produce material for explain to the community and for public awareness about the Spix macaw. We use characters to explain for the people, and even establishing a very strong connection with the children. And for understand how would be the behavior of the Spix macaw, on the wild, we spent and we work a lot with the blue-winged macaw, maracana or Indian macaw. So learning its behavior, learning how to monitor, understanding, and preparing our team for the Spix macaw release. So we work to avoid or to mitigate the threats. So we have a very relevant role made by the government that we established a partnership between the all levels, including the federal level, the state level, and the municipality level, to work together to against, for example, for the hunting. We're trying to increase the enforcement on the region. We work to control and monitor the apis bees that are an exotic species that is attack the nests or the holes of the trees and can be a threat for the Spix macaw. We study and check what kind of other species were using the nests or the potential nests, so to understand what we should do, and that understand that other species was using, we decided to install some nest box on the caribberas trees. And even we met some predators, and some strategies to avoid predators was adopted. So including use this metal belt to avoid them to climb, and cutting some branches to avoid to use other trees to reach the nests. And of course, we have the hawks and other birds that could be a threat, and we're monitoring them. So in 2019, as I said, we built the release center. So it's a huge resort, more than 2,000 square meters. And it's so here we have like the breeding sector. Here is the release center or this enclosure, and here are the creek. Where do we expect to the species to use more? So this point here was the last nest of the Spix macaw. Just a closer view of the breeding. So here we have 8 breeding sections each side, and here we have a flocking enclosure, 2 flocking enclosures for the birds. So the idea here is to have 2 pairs breeding. We have birds released every year, and on the flocking cage, we establish the groups that will be released. This building here, we have one side that are the nurseries for the young babes, and the other side is our vet sector. This building here is just the administrative and the house of those who live there. So just a closer look for this breeding session, the breeding enclosures, and these are the sizes. The size is 7 by 4 by 4 meters in this outside area, and the flocking it's bigger. So this is the release enclosure. So it has a U shape and several sectors with different size. The meaning of this design is to allow the bird to go getting more and more space and learn how to fly in a higher space. That's why it's growing the size. And the U shape is very relevant to strengthen the muscles from the bird to do like the how to say that, Tom? A V fly. I don't know what's the best English word to describe the movement that they do for turning like in U size to avoid the predators. This is in Germany. When we finished the release, the birds were there in quarantine, waiting a time to come to Brazil. Just a short movie from them waiting to fly back home. So in March 3rd, 2020, at 6 a.m. in Germany time, 52 birds left to Brazil, and they arrived on the same day in Petrolina. That was the closest airport from Curaçao City at 1 p.m. That was a unique moment and a very successful. All birds arrived safe and ready to feel the warmth of Brazil and Caatinga. And that was so true that in the following year, we had our first clutch in Caatinga. That's a unique moment. And we saw that the birds came very well and were ready and were adapted for the climate. And then we get in 2022 to the reintroduction. And this is when we drop the birds for the release cage. And this is the moment that we have the first release macaw back and flying free in Caatinga. So our project, our work was all based on the studies made by Thomas White. That's why he's our mentor. Because we need to minimize the effects on the Spix macaw on the release. So we follow all his guidance on the work. And so with the soft release, we're using large groups and use supplementary food to keep them as a magneto, to keep them close to increase the fidelity to their release site. So that was our main goal. And we use not only we monitor all the birds with radio transmitters Hill. And one relevant strategy that was used, we do not release only Spix. We release Spix together with the Blue-winged Macaw, and that was a very successful strategy because one of the Blue-winged Macaws was captured from the wild. And this bird was able to teach all the others Blue-winged Macaws and allow them to have a good performance on the environment. And once those Blue-winged Macaws, they were together with the Spix macaw, the Spix macaws were mirroring their actions, their movements, what they're eating. So we saw in practice that the Spix macaw were following what the Blue-winged Macaw did. So it acts like a teacher when they are mirroring their behavior on the wild. So that was very key to we get success. So in the end, we had two release moments. First in the dry season, and June 20. Sorry. Can I keep going?
Sí, sigue.
Okay. So we have two releases, one on dry season in June and the other one in December 2002. So in the end, we released 20 Spix and 15 Blue-winged Macaws. So all the birds, as I said, was monitoring. So we were using not only the radio transmitters, but even using the binoculars to see, so to follow the birds. And we use the community a lot. So we established some WhatsApp groups to follow the birds and some folders to the community to they understand what were happening to help them to identify the birds. So they reach us every time that they see a Spix macaw. It was very relevant when they on the first months because the birds were trying to understand the environment, so they are flying around in a very long distance. And so I just show you some recent movies from the community, and that's relevant because they get together, they get excited to see the birds. So it's good to they know that's really real, this Spix macaw. So these two videos that I'm showing right now to you, they were recorded by local community that, when the birds were close to their house. Okay, so moving on. So we had looks of a lot of success because of this work, this mirroring the blue-winged macaws. That was one thing that was understood by our team that assist a lot on their project. The other thing was the supplementary food. It created the bond with the surrogate site and allow us to monitor the birds. And not only that, but you have to understand that we're talking about birds that they came from more than one generation living in a captive breeding. So inside of a cage. So the size of the area, the limits of flight is huge when you compare to flying free. You know, not only how long you can fly, but even the effect of the wind against the bird when it's flying. So it's even funny because when you saw the Spix flying on the first day, they were like trying to fight against the wind. And after a few weeks, they were using the wind in its favor. So it's very interesting to see how these birds learn after being released. And so that we use the supplementary food to understand the birds, to monitor them because they come for the birds, and even to provide them more energy to survive and to be able to fly. But they do not only eat the supplementary food, we saw them eating a lot of items from the nature. And of course, the bond with the captive breeding was another relevant issue because it kept them together and close and returning every day to the facility area to be able to follow the birds and monitor them. So those who know a little bit more about Spix macaw, they can see that we have a young bird on this. This is the two parents take care of the the young bird. So so that shows that the success of the project. All the detail of the project and our achievement were published on this article that we can share with you guys. And some results of this reference paper that's proof the success of the project. I can just call some of them here. So about the survival rate, we're expecting to have 6% of the birds survival in 3 months, and we had 71% in 6 months. And after 1 year, we're expecting to have 30% of survival rate, and we reached 58%. So it's an incredible positive answer from these birds to this environment. On group cohesion, we had a goal of 20% and we reached 87%. And about the fidelity to the release site, the minimum expected was 30%. The idea was 67, and we reached 65. So we're very near to our goal. And some other pictures showing these birds living and around, and they adapt so much on the environment that we start to see them, they start to breed. So into the season from 22 to 23, we had 2 young birds. So these 2 fellows here, this is when we start to looking outside. Unfortunately, we lost these 2 birds because of the parents' care. In the following year, we had a change on the breeding pair, and we had 3 birds. One of them we collect to breed on the wild, this small fellow here. He was never developing so big as the other 2 brothers, so we took it to take care on the captive. And these 2 grow and went and fly out. And on this last season, another 2, and they are already on the flying around. So some more pictures of them. So they are using and eating native species. This is a Caatinga. And it's interesting that just to comment with you guys that we saw that the young and the wild babies, they were not using the supplementary food. They were preferring to stay far from that kind of food. So that's interesting to see their behavior. And so, but it's not only good things. We know that when there are these birds, we lost some of them. So from the 20 birds that we released, 11 are not anymore on the wild. We lost 5 then by predation, 4 by birds of prey, and 1 by feral cat. Oh, sorry, we lost. Yeah, 1 we lost by electric shock, and we had 4 that disappeared, and one was recaptured. And from the 7 wild chicks that we had on the wild, we lost 2 injured by I believe so that were by the parents as the first from the first year, and we had 2 removed from for captivity for their survival, and 1 disappeared. So I'm just finishing, and I have just 2 minutes. So this study here was published last year shows that we need to keep annual releases to get the population in a stable level. So that's some scenarios that we try and test, and we saw that the best way was to release 20 birds per year. So we started working on after restoration because we saw that from our models that when you have increase of the forest, we increase a lot the survival rate, the number of individuals, and the landscape to be used. So that's why we had a habitat project, and we found the Blue Sky company that's I'm leading right now. And Blue Sky works with habitat restoration, livelihoods, and restoring the habitat for the Spix macaw. So we assist on the captive breeding. So in 2003, we were able to plant 81 236 trees in 300 hectares. So we are recovering the habitat for the Spix macaw. So it's part to once more to thank for all the people, for the community that assists on the tracking and monitoring, for Ariane that is working, our biologist that's working day by day monitoring these birds, Camile from ICMBio that was our vet that worked a lot and gave a lot of her time, life for this project, Cromwell, Candice, and Tom, and of course several people that were keen to achieve this success on the release. And of course, all the organizations that partner the sport. So it's finished my time, and I just finishing some footage from the Spix on the wild to prove that I'm not lying, that we released the Spix, and they are there using the habitat. And we know that we can do more to see more birds like that flying and flying around. So that's it. Muito obrigado. Gracias. Thank you. And let them fly.
Okay, folks, we have we have a few minutes for questions. So does anybody have a question for Ugo?
I'll start with mine, but you've got a couple in the chat as well, Tom, you can check out, I think. Just out of curiosity, why were the two birds pulled out of the wild, the chicks? Were they at risk of starvation in the nest, or?
Yes, as I show you the picture, on the second season, we saw that the bird was developing very below its brother. So we decided to took it out of the wild and to guarantee its survival.
And those birds are now destined for the breeding population, or are you looking?
Yeah, exactly. No, they are on the next release group.
Okay, Ugo, a person had a question about what are the long-term goals of the program?
So our goal is to have establishing a stable population around 800 birds in 20 years. That's our aim goal. Main goal.
Do you know when the next release is scheduled for, or what are your immediate plans?
So we are preparing a release group right now. So as soon as we understand that we are in a condition of the health of the birds and the time frame for release, we're gonna do it.
And Ugo, someone asked, are there any other groups besides ATCP breeding the birds for release?
So the release center is in Curaçao. So there where we prepare them for release. But we still have some captive breeding, not only in Curaçao, but we have in other places, like we have in Germany, the most successful breeder. We have some in Paradise Sul in Belgium, and we have in India and in Green Zoological Rescue and Rehabilitation Center. And we have in Brazil the São Paulo Zoo that started last year. And it hasn't success yet on the breeding, but I believe and I hope so that soon it can breeding birds and send it to the release site either.
Are you planning to use blue-winged macaws, maracanas again, or was that just for the first release?
That was we still have some. We have a couple at the release site right now that could be used, but mainly our strategy right now is to use the Spix Macaw to make it happen to be the teachers. You know, we have some young birds on the release group, and we have the young wild birds on the wild. So and the young birds, they are more open for bonds and for establishing new groups. So we expect that this moment of having two groups with young birds can increase the chance for they be the teacher and create bonds between them.
How many birds are in your next proposed release?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Muito bem.
I have a question too. Can I ask?
Yes, you can ask.
Yeah, I remember the first bird that breed. They had two chicks, and I was following you guys through the social media. And I remember the second body was much smaller. What happened with that one? did you remove that one, or the two of them managed to
No.
fledge with the parents?
The first clutch was in the season from 2022 to 2023. Unfortunately, those two birds, they were killed by, I believe that were their parents. You know, that was the first babies from these parents. And we saw that a lot on the captive breeding, that when the parents are young and are not so experienced on taking care of the babies, the chance for lose them is higher. So we lost them.
Okay, that's is that pair still breeding? Did they try it again next season?
No, the pair changed, so the male is right now pairing with another female.
And what about the female?
She's looking for a new husband.
Yeah, so good. So nature fixed the issue
Yeah.
there. It was not a good pair then. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
we see that a lot, and that's interesting that you call it. We are learning a lot from the captive breeding to bring for the wild. You know, we know that the birds they change the pair when they see that's not having success. So that's something that interesting to use on the wild, or at least we understand that's possible now.
Ugo, somebody had an interesting question. They asked about the radio transmitters and if there was any evidence of difficulty of the adults for breeding or feeding the chicks because of the transmitters.
It was me.
So maybe you could. So maybe you could take that one.
Como?
No, I was asking to Tom to answer your question because he's our mentor.
Okay. Oi, Thomas, please. No, just because I was curious about the radio colors and to see if there is any evidence of the parents having trouble to fool their.
No, actually, no. From the wild, I'm not sure if Tom is gonna take the floor, but just to answer it quickly, Erica, we haven't seen any issue on the transmitters on breeding or even on feeding. So we haven't seen that as an issue.
Great.
Erica,
But what we saw was the leg ring. Sometimes you saw it being the birds getting, how do you say in English, presos pela anilha.
Getting caught.
Yeah, getting caught by the leg ring, but like for a few seconds, you know, not something that was huge, but that's an issue that on the release we saw that.
yeah, Erica, in response to your question, we've been using those same transmitters for 25 years, and we have never seen any problems with breeding birds wearing transmitters, neither with breeding, nesting, caring for young, fledging young, or anything like that. So we haven't seen any problem with it whatsoever with our birds.
Great. Thank you, Thomas and Ugo.
Any other questions, anyone?
Okay, we can probably transition to the next